So we're gonna try to take a different approach to this panel because I've sat in the seat and you come to panels and people talk a lot and we don't get questions out. So we amongst the panelists have made an effort to not ask a question and then everyone answers the same question. We're not doing that. So each panelist is going to share a different aspect on IT, and then they're going to take 10 minutes to do that. And then we're going to stop and engage you all. And then they're each going to give a closing remark or a call to action, right? And so a little bit who I am. My name is Reginald Canal. I was born in Haiti. I moved to New York when I was 5. My parents divorced. I went to Haiti every summer. And I didn't really get re-engaged in Haiti until I attended a conference that President Clinton hosted with IDB Bank. So much so I quit my banking job. I was at HSBC for 16 years. I left that to started my journey of going to Haiti 1 week a month for a year. My family thought I was having a midlife crisis, but they say the spirit moves you, and so I've been engaged since then. So welcome. I'm going to have each of the panelists first introduce themselves, and then I'll come back and share. So take it away, Queen Mother.
In our tradition, before we start anything, we exchange the words honor and respect. So when I say honor, please say respect. Honor, respect. Honor, respect. Honor. Parole dit, parole fait. The word is said, let the deed be done. I'm Her Royal Majesty Queen Mother Dr. Dòwòti Désir. I am an educator, an independent scholar. I'm a Queen Mother in Benin Republic. I'm also a high priestess, a Haitian voodoo priestess, a Mambo Asokwe, and have been following the footsteps of our ancestors wherever they are. Most recently, they brought me here to Medellin. So I'm happy to be amongst you. I'm going to talk a little bit about Haitian ethics and spirituality within the context of this discussion. I am a mother and a rabble-rouser and an entrepreneur as well. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Honneur? Honneur. Okay, gen Haitien nan sal la, oui? That's Haitians for sure. My name is Guerda Nicolas, Dr. Nicolas, psychologist by training. I'm a child and family psychologist. I was born and raised in Haiti in a town called Tigouave. Anybody heard of it? Tigouave, right? Which is in the southern part of Haiti. If you've ever heard of Dos Macos, then you would know that is where that fudge comes from. I am a professor as well. I've been a professor in universities in the United States, both at Boston College. I studied my career at Teachers College, Boston College, University of Miami, where I've had many departments. This is my 32nd year as a psychologist, as a professor as well. I am home in Haiti every month. I'm in Haiti for the last 32 years. That is where I spend the majority of my time is in Haiti with a foundation that we created, Haiti Community Trust, which I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute.
I'm not gonna steal y'all's shine with all that, but I can't, because I can't compete with 2 doctors and a former finance guy. But my name is Marvell Joseph. Still is? I don't know. Depends on which way the wind's blowing this week, you know? Because I think Reggie's being very humble by not mentioning that he also has Veltier, which is his candle line, which is a scent that comes directly from Haiti. I know he's moderating the panel, but don't let him leave here without talking to him about that. My name is Marvell Joseph. I'm the descendants, or the first generation American of 2 Haitian immigrants. My mom's actually from Leziwa. That's why I know Tigouave a little bit. And my dad is from Okap, Cap Haitian, the north. I grew up in South Florida, which, for being honest, is just the unaffiliated Haiti. It is just as Haitian as Haiti, if not more. I remember one time this guy told me there's more Haitians in Florida than there are in Haiti. And it hasn't been proven wrong. But I grew up in a very Haitian household, which taught me to love my identity in a place and in a world where being a black man was what people saw me as, But when they compared me to other people in my class who were not from the same community as me, they realized how different we really were. So, fell in love with my country, spent a lot of time there. Formerly used to sit on our Golf Federation's board, so the Haitian Golf Federation. I was the former vice president. And now I use the organization that I'm with, the National Black Empowerment Council, to use those same Haitian principles to push forward an agenda for our people here in the United States, and of course here in the Festival Diaspora and the Diaspora abroad. So I'm very excited to be here with two incredible women, and of course with our moderator, Mr. Reggie Canal.
So part of a job of moderating is moderating. So we have strict rules. Each of the panelists will take 10 minutes and share. We're not going to ask one question and each answer the same questions. They each are going to share a different aspect, and then we're going to stop. So Queen Mother is going to share her journey. And so if I stand, you've reached your 10-minute mark. So we're going to do this politely, and we're going to pass the mic. So please, I look forward to hearing your journey.
I didn't mention that I'm a Queen Mother born in the Port of Princes, Port-au-Prince, right? I don't have the same experience as other people here on the panel. Well, I was born in Haiti. I lived there during my formative years. And as a younger woman, I would go back and forth all the time. But my path has taken me to Benin Republic, to Dahomey, the Kingdom of Dahomey, which are not only my paternal roots, but the roots of a lot of Haitians. It is also the berceau, the cradle of our ethical and sacred traditions of voodoo. So before we start, there's something I want to play, and I hope I did not erase it. And I may have, but I'll play the second iteration of it. I'm not a singer, I'm not a performer, but when in our pre-discussions, this is what kept coming to me. And I couldn't remember the words, but suddenly came bursting out. So I'm going to set the tone by playing this. Okay. Yeah. Depuis moi sorti nan Guinée, apesiye tout fier moi, mais c'est moi-même racino. Depuis moi sorti nan Guinée, apesiye tuer moi, mais c'est moi-même chaud. Moi sorti à battre monter dans l'air. Là yo quoi, yo prend moi, m'tourne cime oh. Jou yo connaît ça m'servi. Terre a tremblé. Les tannés nous voyons, l'orage a grondé. C'est moi-même, Racino. C'est moi-même, The song says, since I left Africa, Guinea, they've been trying to stifle me. But it is I, the roots. Since I left Africa, they've been trying to kill me. But I am the great rock. I emerged from the water and leapt into the air. And when they thought they grabbed me, that they captured me, I turned into dust. When they learn who I serve, the ground will shake. And when they know the name that I was reborn with, thunder shall strike. For I am the roots. I am the great rock. This song speaks to the power of the Haitian people. It speaks to an experience that all of us have had, no matter where we are from, no matter where our boats landed in the Americas and even in Europe. A story of resistance, a story of fighting back, a story of understanding the nature of the battle that we are engaged in. That just as each of us, we were talking about AI as ancestral intelligence, as ancestral intuition, is what I refer to it as. Just as each of us has our own algorithms, so do countries, and so do the history of a people. And it takes an increment of about 500 years to really understand what the nature of a people and the history is. And ours has been one of attack and resistance, of attack and fighting back, of attack and revolution. Revolution, resistance, revolt, we know the prefix re means again. And we understand that volution means to turn. So we're turning, and Ayiti has turned the narrative of the world around by becoming not the first Black republic, but the first free state, truly free state in the world. And we were founded as an empire. But in the process of revolution, we were also engaged in evolution, volution, will, an act of will, a conscious decision to change things. So it's revolution and revolution in the sense of wanting to change, demanding change, and redefining what the nature of empire looks like. The vision of Haiti's empire. And this is an understanding that we had from our roots in Dahomey, an understanding that we had in our roots in the Kingdom of the Congo, in all the kingdoms of Africa, of having a unified people. And so our revolution, our teachings are Afro-humanist ones, because the foundation of voodoo, the principle of what we call Minokan, the idea of what we call Moon, which is probably what the AI that we've been talking about the past few days, that ancestral intuition is about. Moon. Each of us has a moon. Our moon are our ancestors, their experiences, their histories, their knowledges. Together, we are moon. So our collective experiences, our collective histories, our collective narratives also teach us something, and it's something that we have got to learn to tap into. That AI means that we have to look deep inside of ourselves, almost in that state of possession, but possessing the self and possessing what is divine within oneself. Knowing that our ancestors will always guide us, knowing that the voodoo, that the Lwa, the Orisha, the Inkisi, the saints, the prophets, whatever you want to call them, that they are there to guide us. The founders of the Haitian nation, the men and the women, 30% of the Haitian army consisted of women, understood that we had to look deep inside of us and call on those ancestral roots of those racines. They understood that they had to become the roche, that big rock, that land of many mountains, that immovable force, which is what Ayiti means. We have to become that. And in doing that, there are risks that we have to take, and it's okay, because our ancestors also provided us with the tools that we need to take those risks, to divination, to take calculated risk, to find the energy to fight, to tap into the divine masculine and the divine feminine in all of us. in my journey of completing a circle from Haiti to the United States to Benin Republic and back again, at least on this plane, that's on my paternal side. I'm doing the same thing on my maternal side, from Haiti to Cuba to the US to Cameroon and the Congo. We all have to complete a circle. It doesn't have to be a geospiritual journey that we make where we're physically visiting places, but it has to be a kind of expedition, an exhibition, and a journey that you take within yourself that will allow you to reinvest in yourselves, reinvest in the knowledges, the sacred knowledges of your ancestors, and take the risk of opening up your own businesses, of partnering with others, of having a kombit or laku. Tap into those historical knowledges that allow for collective engagement. We say in unity there is force. Pull those forces together within yourself and fight back, and let us come together and pull those forces within us to continue the process of resisting, the process of revolution, and the process of volution. Your own will, our collective will. This is the ancestral message I had to deliver for you today.
And she did that on cue as I stood up, which is fantastic. I love it when the panelists take orders. So thank you for sharing your journey. And it was important she share her journey. And now Dr. G is going to share some history about Frederick Douglass and the importance of the president of Colombia just took a recent visit to Haiti, and you're going to give us more context on that. So Dr. G.
Thank you so very much. Such a pleasure to always hear my queen mother. I'm calling her both queen and mother because there's a shopping trip we're going to go do together. And you know, when you have your mother with you, you know, you don't need money. So I'm super excited about that. Yes, as well. I wanna invite us for a moment because the point of this spotlight on Haiti is almost to ask you to get rid of what you've known about the country. Whatever it is that you've heard about Haiti, whatever it is that you've been exposed to Haiti, both recently, maybe in the past, is asking you for a moment to put those on pause. And we say that because the storyteller matters. The one who gets to tell your story matters. And the storytellers of Haiti has not been Haitians telling that story. And therefore, it is an incomplete story. It is a story that can only be fragmented in that span. And so asking you for a moment, because it's, you know, I know all of us here get the reaction when we hear with somebody, you say, you know, I'm from Haiti. We've already had it here. And I said, we just came from Haiti, you know, and people say, well, is it really that bad? Right? And that question is valid because it can only come from what is it that you've heard about the nation, about a country, not necessarily an area, not Port-au-Prince, but a country, right, overall. So I want to start off by saying, number one, why is it that we are saying Haiti? And why is it that the Queen Mother talks about the Republic of Haiti? So Haiti, A-Y-I-T-I, which you can only say when you can only smile when you say, try it, Haiti. Ay, ay, ay. You can only smile when you do that, right? Which means mountainous land. Means land of mountains by our Taino folks. So when you hear Haiti with an H, it is not our identity. And that is important to pay attention to understand when did that get done? When was that transformation of our name from Ayiti? And if you keep it A-Y-I-T-I, you cannot help it but always list Haiti as one of the top 10 countries of the world. Let me just say that. If we keep it as Haiti, A-Y-I-T-I, it will always be one of the top 10 countries of the world, if we keep it alphabetically. So what does it mean to shift it to Haiti with an H, right? Hai as the name of the country. So things to go learn about. Now, how many of you knew that Frederick Douglass, which today is Frederick Douglass's birthday, February 14th. Frederick Douglass's birthday was the ambassador to Haiti. How many people knew that? See the names, right? Okay, you don't count over here. Okay, 2 people, right? Raise their hand. Because most people, that's a story we don't get a chance to tell. So Frederick Douglass spent a number of years in Haiti as the ambassador to Haiti. In the late 1870s, 1880s time frame. And today, because it's his birthday, I am imploring you to go and look at the speech that he delivered in Chicago in 1893, talking about his experience and his observations about Haiti and where he knows Haiti will head in 1893. And I mention that because I want to invoke his spirit today on his birthday. But during that speech in 1893, this is one of the things he said. He said, we should not forget that the freedom you and I enjoy today is largely due to the brave stand taken by the black sons of Haiti. 1893. Those words were not just words to be said. They were words that recognize that the Haitian Revolution wasn't about the island of Haiti. Let me be very clear. When we declared our independence in Haiti, we declared freedom for the whole entire island that included the DR. The DR is not a separate entity from us. It is a part of us. And so we don't get to talk badly about Dominicans because we are one. Even though they sought out to divide us continuously. And so this idea of freedom was really, really clear to the ancestors about the importance of freedom. It sends a message that freedom was non-negotiable. That freedom for all was non-negotiable for everyone. And so as a result of that, in 1804, think for a moment what year I'm talking about. In 1804, a small island with a population of less than 6,000 set out a revolt to send a message to the world that freedom was non-negotiable and that people were meant to be freed. And as a result of that, it not only did it for the island, it sought to do it every other places as well. So including right here in Colombia. It is not a coincidence. And however way you think about your president here in Colombia, but the relationship between Haiti and Colombia is solidified. Is solidified because Haiti was central in the independence of Colombia. It sends arms, it sends soldiers, and it sends resources to ensure that that freedom was won. It welcomed 55,000 Jews on the island of Haiti who were looking for a space, a home that would welcome them as Jewish refugees at the time. The U.S. did not. The United States did not welcome Jews during the time of the Holocaust to receive Jews in the way that Ayiti did. And to this day that we have Jewish Haitians. And that is a significant part of what we've done. In the United States, there are 8 towns named after Ayiti. Did you know that? 8 towns that are named after Ayiti, from the South Dakotas to the Carolinas. These were indigenous African Americans, affluent African Americans who understood the role of Ayiti in terms of their own freedom in the United States. And when they created their own township, they named it after Haiti. In addition,
Haiti.
they call them Haiti, Hayti, if you're looking for them. And people will say Haiti, hi whatever, but it's Haiti, right? It's the name, right, for it. And in addition to that, the role that Haiti plays throughout the globe, most people don't know. I went to Greece. I went to Athens, Greece, and when I got there and I told the cab driver where I was from, he said, I must take you to a place that is home to you. And he took me to a place in Greece to show how they celebrated Haiti, because Haiti was the only nation that sent resources to Greece while Greece was fighting for its independence. I want you to imagine and picture that story, that narrative that oftentimes you don't hear about. The story of this nation who sought not only to think about freedom for itself, but sought to see freedom for all. And the audacity of that in a world that is trying to keep a group of people at a particular place. The cost for that freedom has been enormous. Let me say that. The cost for that has been enormous. And we are here at this Diaspora Festival, and to the extent that we don't get it right, and we don't understand that the story of Ayiti is all our stories. And if you have a chance as a Black person to be able to have a level of freedom, no matter where you are at, Ayiti played a role in that. Therefore, we have a responsibility to tell the story differently. Thank you.
Awesome. So that was two different perspectives. You had the history perspective, and then a perspective sharing Frederick Douglass, and sort of that. So now we're going to hear from, there are a lot of young Haitians doing amazing work, right? And so Marvel's going to give you sort of the younger version, what are the young Haitians doing, and sort of share his perspective of Haiti and what you think the young are doing.
Absolutely. But first off, can we please give a round of applause to both the Queen Mother and Dr. G? Because the truth is that people must know their history in order to understand where they came from and how far we can go. I think as a Haitian American, emphasis on the Haitian, the identity that I walk into rooms with is the identity of the ancestors that you just mentioned. But the vision that I have of what my country can be is the foundation of principles of what my country was built on. The idea of being free, not necessarily free in the sense of, what we consider free today, but free in practicing what we want to do, mentally free from mental oppression, free from mental suppression. They told me to talk about the next generation, and honestly, we have a lot of faults, let's be honest, right? Like, my generation has a lot of issues, but one thing that we don't lack is pride. Pride in who we are, pride in what we deserve, we believe. I mean, what we believe we deserve. Emphasis on that, unfortunately. Pride in the real stories that people talk about when they talk about Haiti is what we wear on our sleeves. We don't talk about as important as it is historically, the Papa Doc Revolution. If you ask young Haitian kids, what's the important part about Haiti? They're going to talk about Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, François Macandal, Catherine Flon. They're going to talk about the people who fought, the warriors who built our country. Because the truth is, Haitians are a warrior group, right? We talk about what the word Ayiti really means, right? In fact, only in English is it Haiti. Every other country, every other language, it's a form of Ayiti, especially in Spanish, Haitiano, right? Which is something that we believe is us. I look at what my generation has already started doing. And we've taken this revolution in a very different role. They say that, a country's culture is obviously based off of the language they speak, the clothes they wear. but also the music that they make. If we think about American history, you think about the slave trade, the Underground Railroad, right? Those songs that they mentioned, that they sung, Wade in the Water, right? Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. These were songs that were designed to help them get out and get through the Underground Railroad. My generation has understood that, and we've now used music. If you look very closely, no matter where you think about them, you think about some of the artists like Kodak Black, right, who has taken his music. When he raps about Haiti, right, I know he raps about a lot of stuff. Raps about a lot of stuff. I'm not going to take, but when he raps about Haiti, it is something that you can feel the passion and the hurt in his voice about the country, but also the motivation he has to do more. Think about the newest rapper, probably Friday, that everyone's like listening to. The fact that he's incorporating Haitian music into mainstream songs is incredible, because he's rapping about stuff that is going on in our country and is helping us get out of it. And of course, internationally, I was actually just recently in the Middle East, in Israel, and they played a Haitian song there by Joey Duet Filet, right, which has become the most popular song everywhere. And what's interesting about that song is that it took the roots of a famous Toubadou song, right, Je vais, and used that to express to new people and to the new generation, hey, this is how we can bridge the old to the new. And that's what we want to do. I think when we talk about this newest revolution of Haitian leaders, we're not here to take over. We're here to assist and push forward. I think, so I mentioned earlier that I work for the National Black Empowerment Council. And the most important part of our organization in our name is the Black empowerment piece. Notice that it didn't say African American Council. It didn't say, Americans who happen to be Black. It said National Black Empowerment Council, because being Black is a consciousness. And all of those who understand that consciousness, we're here to help empower them. We have a great relationship with several African nation ambassadors and some Caribbean ambassadors. And one of the things that they look to us in saying is, help us push the same narrative forward that you have pushed in your people in the States to follow. I think that our generation, while we don't want to admit it, we look to people like Dr. G, like the Queen Mother, for guidance. Because the truth is, if you're unguided, if you're undisciplined, you're not going to get anything done. But at the same time, we ask people like Dr. G and the Queen Mother to never limit how much they give to us, because I do believe that our generation is ready to take on the mantle and cross the finish line. So when in this crowd of very young people, let's say mixed age, let's say that, right? Is mixed age safe? Is that the safe word we can use? Spiritually young. In this crowd of people, let us realize that within each and every one of us, there is a youthful spirit. And that youthful spirit is the spirit that's going to be what helps both Haiti be liberated and Black people abroad be liberated. Right? What did Bob Marley say? I saw the Jamaican flag. That's what made me think about it. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. To me, there's none but ourselves can free our minds. And for me, that's what I believe. And that's why I'm so excited that we're here at this festival, that our organization continues to be a strong partner here, and that people in a country that doesn't even speak Creole happen to come into a session to learn about Haitien and Ayiti. So for that, thank you.
I like panelists that stick to the time limit. I gotta say, phenomenal. Any questions? Yes, sir. Up behind you? Yeah.
One quick question, sir.
Right behind you.
Yes, thank you all for this. Just first of all, so impactful. And I'm sorry if I missed this in the part that I did not hear, but y'all spoke a lot about how important names are, IT. And my name is Shakiri, but my middle name is Toussaint. I cannot pronounce it in the way you said Louverture. But if you could tell me a bit about, because I think the revolution that you spoke about in 1804 was Toussaint Louverture's revolution. Could you just speak about, like, today, what he means to the country of Haiti?
Yeah, so I'll start it as I'll let you do the political stuff after. So Toussaint Louverture, Toussaint, he is what we would consider like not necessarily. I wouldn't even give him the George Washington comparison. I would say more like a Ben Franklin, right? Because I think he was like the visionary force behind the independence of Haiti, right? The first ever king of Haiti was Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Well, the Queen Mother already disagrees with me, which is okay, right? But the way I look at it is that Toussaint Louverture, to me, is the father that created the Haitian movement, right? The Haitian movement, right? But Jean-Jacques Dessalines was, of course, the first official political. He was a student of Toussaint Louverture, right? Much more hot-headed, but he was a young person. Both of them were actually very young. If you think about the leaders of the Haitian Revolution, Toussaint Louverture started the revolution when he was 16 years old. All right? So, Queen Mother, I know you disagree with me.
No,
But
it's
that's-
not about disagreement because it's not about disagreement because I think the story of Haiti, all of parts of it is important. What I think it's important, where you're answering the question, and don't pay any attention to us, is what does Toussaint mean to you? And I think that's all that matters.
Toussaint is our visionary. That's what it means to me, right? He is the man who he took an idea and had people buy into it all around him and helped lead them. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to the finish line, but he led that group to the finish line, right? And inspired them enough to feel like they could take over and do what they needed to do.
That's a great point.
Any other
Go ahead.
questions? So we're gonna keep it, and then we're gonna.
Your question had to do with name and definition. Toussaint Louverture, Toussaint, all saints. The idea of Minocan, of the Loire, of the Voodoo, all that deeply spiritual stuff. That does Toussaint mean. Louverture is the opening. So the idea of opening up the path, like Papa Legba, like Eshu Legbara, those divine forces that open doors, that open windows, that clear the road. That's what that means. So in some ways, Toussaint Louverture's role was that. However, the reason I was disagreeing is not because I disagree with you, is because we have to get away from this narrative of thinking of a savior. There was no one person involved in the Haitian Revolution. And before Toussaint, there were other people who were building up. The first revolt in the Americas took place in Quisqueya, Bohi, Haiti, in 1521. Senegambians fought against Diego Rivera, who was Columbus's son. So we've been in a constant state of revolt, even before we crossed the ocean, but definitely once we got here, because the first fight took place on that island. And so that door for revolution had been opened. You have Agoje, women warriors from Dahomey. Those women were fighters. They were ass kickers. It's like, we take no prisoners. So the idea of liberation had come from a variety of places. Sometimes history opens up a door first to for one person, but then everybody is also rushing in. The revolution was made by multiple people. There's no savior here. There's no father, but there are fathers and mothers. 30% of the Haitian Revolution look like her, and her, and her, and her, and her, and her, and me, and you. Don't ever forget that.
Can I just add one thing? Because you asked the question about what does it mean now for us in Haiti, and I think it is that piece, right? That in whether or not it's the younger people in Haiti or some of us who are in our 60s and up, in Haiti, the idea of the collective is real, right? And so when somebody name you Toussaint, and that's your name, there's a recognition that you are about uniting. Right? And I would imagine if you look at what you do and how you do it, there's a way that you show up in uniting and recognizing that there is no singular person and that nations are built by the collective, that the freedom is run by the collective. And that's what the name of all of those people, including Toussaint, means to us today.
Some great question. Yes.
Thank you. My question is to talk a little bit about, so this session is around the legacy that we're projecting, that we're manifesting for Haiti. And I love the way that you started the session around to let go of what we believe, because even me as a Haitian American, you pull in the stories from your parents and everything is from their perspective, what they've lived through, and it's not your own story. So I would love for you, specifically Dr. Nicolas, to talk about the fund that you had mentioned in the beginning and how that's continuing to grow the legacy and how younger people can get involved and support it.
Yeah, but before I let her answer that question, I think that's $1 million question, because I think I think outside of India, Haiti has the most NGOs, right? And so when I learned about Ayiti Community Trust's work, and I was very fortunate last year, I went to Haiti, I accompanied their board. I'd never seen an organization actually work with entrepreneurship in Haiti, and so. And I'm gonna let you speak, but it was a different approach, right? I had been to conferences, I didn't see a new way forward, and I'm impressed with their work about there's a new way forward for Haiti that they're working on.
Thank you so much for the question. And so, when we started Ayiti Community Trust as a transnational community foundation that is using this endowment model. So we hope we're not the only one that will stay as the only entity that is building an endowment fund. Endowment, we can't even translate endowment in Creole, right? But that this idea about building a permanent fund for this country, there's a way that people felt like that was very frequent. Like, can we get that here, right? That you're thinking about doing this idea of building this permanent fund for Haiti. And the fund is there because of this piece around legacy, because of this piece of continuation, because of this piece around building community. So the focus of it is around mobilizing the diaspora, which has been our strategy, to mobilize the diaspora to raise an initial $20 million. Nothing, $20 million in this permanent fund that will support market-driven economy, right? That is about job creation in country, right, as well, and to do so in the rural communities of Haiti. And so that is, and we are based in Haiti. We are community-led, Haitian-led organization that is registered in the country to be able to do that work. But it also allows us the opportunity as we are building this permanent fund, right? And there's a way I say to people, there's a way that all of us were born into like some laku or some of your yard, and you got some trees. Like for us, mango trees is a big thing for me, right? But then we ate mangoes, but you didn't plant that mango tree. And the person who actually planted that mango tree probably still not even around anymore. But you continue to eat mangoes from it. And the question is, what is this generation? What mango tree are you planting? That's going to allow 50 years, 100 years from now, from somebody else to be able to eat from that mango tree that you planted, right? So we have a responsibility to do that, and we believe that a permanent fund that is about self-sufficiency, that is about relying on ourselves, is the mechanism for us to do so. Yeah.
We have 5 minutes left, and so unless it's quick, I really want to give them each a chance to have close out, because I promised them to end on time.
Vale, es rápido. En español, no sé si tengan traductor ustedes. ¿Sí? Ok. Vale, no, gracias por compartir las historias. De verdad que aquí en Colombia estamos muy desconectados de la historia de la diáspora de Haití, sobre todo aquí nos llega mucha información de lo que está en Netflix, de lo que es comercial y de lo que nosotros autónomamente buscamos, pero estaba pensando en el poder de las narrativas, justamente, de las historias. Yo soy directora de cine, entonces casi siempre la forma de conectarme con el mundo es a través de las películas, del cine. Entonces estaba pensando de qué forma podemos hacer un intercambio de películas de Haití, Colombia, Haití, un cineforo, algo virtual, compartir lo que hacen también en Estados Unidos la generación y de qué forma, pues como no es para que tengamos mucho, no sé, espacio o presupuesto tal para conectarnos, pero creo que una herramienta muy fácil es eso, compartir las historias y podemos hacer algo virtual, un cineforo, compartir cosas, porque es necesario conectarnos desde ahí, desde la historia. Gracias.
Translate her question and then you're going to answer. And then we're going to have you close out.
Well, yeah, we can't, but translate first.
Translate and then one person.
Okay, I love the question, because the question is about like how do you get connected, right, to the story, to the narrative about Haiti in a meaningful way is what I'm hearing, and there's lots of ways to be able to do so, whether or not it's through pictures or films or other ways, right, and so forth. But communication is really key, and the narrative pieces is really an important piece. What I would say to you is that what I say to people is, no, Haiti right now, there's a way that we use single stories to talk about Haiti. And what I would say, whatever it is you just heard somebody say, that include WhatsApp. Right, whatever you saw on WhatsApp is like, how do you dismiss that and actually go somewhere else? So like you hear it and you say, how do I learn something else? So there are some key things. To our foundation, we also make sure that we are putting out some good information about IT in a way for you to know what's happening. Let me give you 3 things that you should follow in order for you to really be connected to what's happening in IT. One is L'Union Suite, right? L'Union Suite, it's called L'Union, L-U-N-I-O-N, Suite, S-U-I-T-E. 1. Faces of Haiti. 2. Faces of Haiti. Faces of Haiti. Faces of Haiti. 2. Aibo Post. Aibo, A-Y-I, Aibo Post. It is our newspaper that is more indigenous than the French paper, which is the Nouvelliste. I would say those things are key.
You know, we started out talking about music. I played a song that I sang. She joined me and talked about moonness, our collective knowledge and history. Listen to your own songs. Everything isn't about the digital age. Some things you have to go all the way back. Those old songs connect and tell our histories, especially if you listen to our spiritual songs. And we ended with music as well. So there's multiple places, it's multi-radial, it's multi-tiered spaces that we move in that tell our histories. It isn't just Colombia that Haiti freed. Gran Colombia consists of Panama, of Ecuador, of Venezuela, all these places in Latin America. Haiti supported Simon Bolivar's vision for it. Simon didn't quite follow through on his promise, but it's your responsibility now. It's our job to tell you what the rest of the story is, but it's your responsibility to continue the second phase of the revolution.
And to conclude, please continue to correct us and tell us those things. Please continue to tell us where we are wrong and where we are not necessarily wrong, but where we are lacking. I think the most important thing in this relationship, intergenerational relationship, is the ability to be corrected, but also the ability to learn, the ability to ask for guidance, the ability to ask to help, right? When we learn about our music from the past, right? Revolutionaries have made music for generations, right? I'm thinking about this songs from, like you talked about, way back in spiritual times, but if you even come up a little bit earlier in the introduction of compa and how compa was used to tell a story. All of these things are so important. And once again, ladies, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. But thank you to you all for being here, for caring a little bit about our country. That means so much to the world.
So we started 2 minutes late, so I'm going to give them each 1 minute. What is the one thing they can do to help your work individually? A specific ask, and briefly, how can they help you with your work?
I think it's exactly what Dr. G said. Continue to follow the sites that she mentioned. National Black Empowerment Council is NBEC_connect. While a lot of our work is focused domestically in the United States, you know, as a Haitian that, you know, has some rank, a lot of it has some Haitian influence in it as well. Continue to care about the Haitian people in a deeper way than just saying, oh yeah, Haiti's a cool place. Understand that, like Dr. Z said at the beginning, everything that you've heard about Haiti, forget about it and restart. Emancipate yourself, not necessarily from mental slavery, but from mental conditioning of the West, telling you that this Eastern country, this African nation in the Caribbean is one of malice, is one of treachery, and is one of demons.
I'm gonna let the Queen Mother go next.
Well, I still remember. The leaf bends towards the light. Be that leaf, bend towards the light. In order to support me, my focus is on the Imperial Corps Agoje of the African diaspora. The Imperial Corps Agoje, be that woman warrior and fight for this ideological war, this spiritual war, this geopolitical war we are still engaged in. My charge to you is to be just as geostrategically oriented as your ancestors were. Tap into that broad body of knowledge and understand la lucha continua.
Awesome, awesome, Ashe. So my ask for you is 3 things, and I'm leaving you with a gift, right? The first thing I'm gonna ask of you is to help us in control our narrative. The fact that you are here means you are now, unfortunately for you, maybe fortunately for all of us, you are now recruited as ambassadors for Haiti. That's your role now. There's no way you can leave us right now and not think of yourself as ambassadors of the country. And to do so, I want to, my executive director, Dr. Elisa Jean is here. Dr. Elisa Jean is here. And we're going to give you a gift. We're going to give you a gift to help us, help you tell that story as new ambassadors. We are passing to you what is our Haitian good. Our Haitian dollar is 10 good, 20 good, 50 good, 100 good, 250 good, 500 good, and so on. We are giving you the 10 good. The 10 good is the only money that has a woman on it. A woman warrior on it, right? And so forth. So when you think about Haiti, think about Sanitaire Belair, think about women warrior, think about, because Haiti is that. Right? And so we hope that you're going to keep that in your hand. And when you have a negative perception about the country, you will remember that this is a country made up of warriors. Second, we need to strengthen our network. And I keep saying to people, the United States and Canada are not friends to Haiti. Because if they were friends, I do not want those friends, because friends do not treat people this way. So we need new friends and new network for Haiti in order for us to get to where we need to go. And lastly, I hope you will join me. I hope you will join me in helping build this endowment fund. We need to invest in permanent funding for Haiti in order for us to be self-sufficient, create the economy that we need in country, in order for us to relive and realize the dream of the ancestors and the dream of Frederick Douglass that he has. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.